we are going to see 5 different surface design techniques. This includes incising, relief, coils, sgraffito, and slip trailing. So let's go ahead and get started with number 1 with the incising. So I have my clay slab. It is at that leather hard state. It's not really soft. The moisture in it has come out from the time that I rolled it out, and so it's ready to be drawn on top of. Now this technique that I'm going to be using is called incising. When we transferred our images onto our tiles, this is actually what we were doing. So now you have a name for it, incising. So what we're going to do is use our needle tool, and we're going to draw into the surface of the clay. So since this is incising, I'm going to go ahead and write incising on here. And I'm going to draw some other imagery on here, just some surface design, just to show some examples of how you can use incising. Okay, so that's how we do incising. Let's move on to the next one on the list, which was relief. So I'll get my next slab of clay out. All right, for doing relief, you will want to use a loop tool. We have 2 different loop tools that are in your toolboxes. We have this loop tool that has the smaller loops on it, and then we have this loop tool which has a large loop on it. I'm going to start with the smaller one, and since we wrote incising on the other one, I'm going to write relief on this one. So relief means that you're taking away from the surface. So I'm going to write relief on top of here. The next surface design technique that we're going to use is the coil technique. So I have my coils all rolled out and I know where I'm going to place them. I have drawn lines of where all of these pieces around the edges are going to go. So I need to make sure and score and slip those pieces on. So I'm going to go through and score all these areas. Alright, and then I need to add some slip onto those areas.
Let me come home. Home is wherever I'm with you. Home. Yes, I am home.
And then after you get all of those attached, you can go back through with your fettling knife or any other tool that you find that will work. You can clean up those edges, take away that slip. Alright, and that's how you add coils onto your slab. Now the next demonstration that we have on the list is sgraffito. So with sgraffito, we are going to use slip, colored slips. We have them mixed already for you all to use. You'll just need to put it in a little container and grab a paintbrush. We have tan, brown, black, blue, and green for you to use. Do realize that some of the colors will be the same as they look in the bottle, and some of the colors will not be the same. So, like for example, the blue slip looks like this. It looks tan, but after it fires, because of the different ingredients that are inside of it, it'll change to a really pretty bright blue color. So what we do when we do the Sgraffito technique, take our slab, and we need our paintbrush. We have a whole container full of these for everyone to use. And then we're going to need our slip. We have little containers. Containers of the slip, and this is what the containers look like. Just ask where they're at, or we'll show you where they're at. I'm gonna go ahead and just dip out of the container for right now. Just for demonstration purposes, take my brush. I'm gonna go ahead and dip it in there, and I'm just gonna paint on the slip. Now, we've been using slip to add the moisture into our clay when we wedge. This is the same thing, except for there's colorants added to it. So we're just creating a fine layer of clay on the top of our clay that has colorant in it. So we'll go ahead and cover the entire surface with the slip. All right. And then I am going to use my loop tool to take away some of the slip. Now, it's still a little wet. You might want to let it set for a minute just to let it dry. It dries pretty quick, depending on how thick you put it on. But you don't necessarily have to put it on very thick. The amount that I put on is just perfect. So we'll go ahead and write on here Sgraffito. It's kind of a funny word. I'm actually going to use my fettling knife to do this. Alright, Sgraffito. So then you can draw into the surface of the clay. So instead of having the color of the clay be your surface, you can have the colored slip, and then you can show through the color of the clay by drawing into it.
Jade,
Alexander,
do you remember that day you fell out of my window?
I sure do. You came jumping out.
And that is the Sgraffito technique. Alright, on to the next technique. Alright, the last one that we're gonna see in a demonstration of is slip trailing. Alright, we have another slab. And slip trailing. So I just talked about the slips. We use that for the Sgraffito. Well, you can also use slips to do slip trailing with. Alright, so we are slip trailing. I'm going to write slip trailing on here. Now I'm just barely squeezing this bottle. If you squeeze too hard, it's going to come out all over the place, so you got to be very careful. Alright, slip trailing. You can use different colors on there. You could do different designs.
When I'm alone with you.
Alright, and those 5 different ways of doing the surface design techniques are the 5 different ways that you're going to use on your own images, on your own slabs that you have rolled out.